Hey everybody, how's it doing today? And hope everyone is doing safe and well, and welcome back to another episode. So I have great news to share in regards to the second stimulus package slash stimulus check, and then I have a little bit more of a neutral news depending on how you really think about it. So definitely watch all the way to the end because I think today's update is going to be super interesting. But before we begin, I just wanted to say I hope everyone had a great safe Independence Day weekend. I know this has obviously been probably a very different Independence Day weekend compared to most other past because of the pandemic and everything. Although granted, there's been lots of people that are still partying and doing wild things and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Tonight, the virus and its new target. Cases in young people growing, potentially fueled by crowds like this in Missouri's Lake of the Ozarks.
But hope everyone had a great Independence Day weekend, and now welcome to the second week of July. So a quick recap before we begin is that in the last two episodes, in one of the episodes, we talked a little bit about why I personally really believe that there's such a huge necessity to extend the $600 unemployment rate, not necessarily by 600, but certainly to at least take action to do something, and about how every single person is going to be impacted if they don't do this. Not just you and I and the common individuals and the unemployed people, but I was talking about even the Senate Republicans themselves, which has basically been like the villains in this entire situation so far. I talk about how every single thing from politics to social to economics, everything is going to be impacted if they don't extend or do something to help us right now. And then in the other episode, I also just gave a little bit basically of just like a timeline, a breakdown about every single date by date from July 1st all the way through to the rest of the month, about when we should expect a stimulus package slash stimulus check, when we should expect the answer, and then all of the expiration dates and everything that's going to be basically going on in terms of the timeline. So definitely check out those two episodes if you haven't done so already. I'll link it in the description, or I'll also put it probably in like a box or something like that at the very end of this episode. So watch all the way through so you guys can get notified about that. Okay, so I'm going to roll the introduction and let's get started. So the really great news to share and the fast answer to that is that it has officially been recognized by Senator Mitch McConnell that there is indeed some kind of need for a second stimulus check slash second stimulus package, and that if you followed the news about 1 or 2 weeks ago, it was also recognized by Donald Trump that there should be some kind of second stimulus check slash second stimulus package, and that supposedly it's going to be very generous, considering the fact that the first stimulus package involved a $1,200 payment to a lot of different people. The likelihood is that if both of these people carry out their words, it means that there will be some kind of stimulus check going out to every single person. And if it's really as generous as Donald Trump says it is, then it will probably very likely be at least $1,200, if not maybe even more. I mean, the only thing I can think of that's more generous than $1,200 is like, unless it's like $1,201 or $1,200 and a penny, but who knows? I mean, comment if you think he's actually going to pull something like that. Maybe he will. So the really great news to share is that there is very high chance and recognition that there will be a second stimulus package slash second stimulus check going on. So I want to take a little bit of a time and talk a little bit about Mitch McConnell, and why this is particularly great news is because if you've been wondering why the stimulus check slash second stimulus package has been taking so long to pass, has actually really been exactly because of the Senate Republicans. And it just so happens that the face or the head of the Senate Republicans happens to be Mitch McConnell. And in a lot of different ways, almost every single person that is struggling in some ways, you, I, almost every single American in this country is struggling in some way, is actually because of Mitch McConnell. Some people say it has to do with Donald Trump, and you can definitely say he has a little bit of things that are involved into it. But at the end of the day, before any of these stimulus packages slash check can get into Donald Trump's White House, it actually has to go through the Senate Republicans, which is exactly the stage that almost every single package act that we have talked about in the past, from like the monthly economic stimulus packages, the ABC Act, has struggled. It has actually exactly been because of the Senate Republicans, and even bigger is because of Mitch McConnell. He's basically considered like the villain of American politics in so many different ways. Maybe smash the like button if you really feel that way as well, so I can see who has that similar support, or comment down below if you don't, because it's totally okay if you don't. But also consider subscribing to this channel, by the way. I haven't mentioned that because I do talk a lot about finance videos and also about the second stimulus package check videos, so I'll give you guys news about that, and also occasional personal development videos. So it is a little bit of a mixed, content, but it's all about self-improvement and finance. So going back is that the biggest reason why we've been struggling so hard with everything has actually been exactly because of Mitch McConnell. So if Mitch McConnell, who is basically the villain and the bad guy in this entire story so far, finally recognizes this situation, it means that there is good news, there is good outlook, and that it will very much likely happen, because he has basically been the reason it has not happened for the last like 1 to 2 months so far. I will say one thing though, is I will admit, knowing Mitch McConnell, I don't think his intentions are good in any way, shape, or form. I can almost bet you that the only reason he's probably saying this right now is because he's starting to recognize that the election is coming soon, his position is on the line, we're gonna potentially vote him out. Smash the like button if you also want to vote him out. Smash the like button if you have also been impacted by him in some sort of way, shape, or form. So I don't think his intentions has been good in any way, shape, or form by doing this, but nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact, and exactly kind of like what my last video, I talked about, one of my last previous videos, is that they are recognizing that if they don't do something to help the individuals, every single person is going to be impacted, even they themselves now. So of course, the great news is that the likelihood now of a second stimulus check / second stimulus package of getting at least $1,200 is very high right now, if not maybe even $2,000. The more neutral news is, the first neutral news, depending on how you look, and it's kind of like how I mentioned it, is that the Senate Republicans are still on vacation, which is terrible, the fact that it has to kind of go this way. So we probably will not hear about anything, at least until, I believe, let me check, somewhere between July 20th and August 7th. So that is a little bit more of the I guess not so good news, but the little bit more of the neutral news is that even though he does recognize that there is a need for the second stimulus check / second stimulus package, I do know that Mitch McConnell also, he wants to make this package very targeted, and I think that he's trying to limit it to, I believe, like $1 trillion or something like that. So basically, he's been trying to talk about trying to do something, but he's trying to limit the demographic of who can actually receive it. And I know there was already a lot of people that were not very happy about the first one, because either they took too long to receive it, or they just didn't qualify to receive it because they were part of SSI or something like that. And so I think that there is a chance that the more neutral, not so good news is that he is planning to potentially make it so that you have to make basically under $40,000 if you're a single individual, or I believe under $80,000 if you're filing jointly or a married couple of some kind, which means that there's going to be even less people that qualify for it compared to the first stimulus package / stimulus check, the CARES Act that, we all talked about. The other more good and sort of neutral news, a little bit aside from that, is also about the unemployment benefits. And I believe is that I think he also recognizes that if they try to just end the unemployment so very suddenly, kind of like exactly how I mentioned in my last video, so I'm glad, crazy enough, even me and McConnell's literally on the same exact terms or idea now, somewhat, in the same way, is that they will very likely do something to help unemployment. The more neutral or not so good news is that they probably will not extend the unemployment now by $600. The likelihood is that they're probably going to do something to help out, but maybe just reduce the rate. But I think the brighter news is that it hopefully is not going to just go silent, where they're just going to just end it in run on the spot, you know what I mean? So there's again a little bit of a neutral news depending on how you look at the situation. Okay, so I really just wanted to give you guys that news because it is actually relatively more good news, if than anything, because it does mean that we are making progress. It also does mean that even the enemy has recognized that there's a need for this in some way, shape, or form. So hopefully they help, try to speed up the process of some kind. The neutral news is that it may end up actually being targeted to a very, very specific group, which means that even less people may qualify for it. But the mutual news, depending on how you look at it, is that it also does mean that if you're someone who's truly really struggling, and we're talking about like making below $40,000, I think it's fair to say is that you should at least feel very relatively secure that there hopefully will be something going on. I know there's obviously been a lot of different people that have been already going through difficulties throughout all of this, but maybe the other more brighter news is that election day is coming out, and I do believe that Mitch McConnell has recognized the situation. So if you are someone that wants to make change of some kind, I think it's time to recognize this situation, maybe vote on election day coming up, and hopefully we can change whoever's in the House right now, because they even recognize what's going on. The polls are not lying. They even recognize that if the Republicans don't do anything, they will now even be impacted in this situation also. But maybe comment down and let me know what you guys think about the current situation. Do you guys think it's going to happen? Well, we obviously know that it's very likely going to happen, but what you guys think is going to happen specifically, or really just any thoughts or comments about anything at all. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already, because it really does help the channel, and consider subscribing if you're really into like finance-based videos or anything like that, because I hope to send you guys an update as soon as I possibly can. I don't make daily videos per se, but I think what's nice is quality over quantity. Okay, best wishes to every single person, and hopefully they do something soon, but I'll keep you guys updated until then. Stay safe, stay well.